Hi, it's me, Lil. Lots to talk about today. We're going to start with my trip with Ray and his family to Lake George, which was very lovely until it wasn't. Then I'm going to do some lights, camera, action with Lil, and of course, moments with Mommy because she's always popping up. I'll wrap up with an update on Lil's love life. So Ray and his family have this lovely tradition of going to Lake George every summer. They've been doing this for the past 15 years. They've always said that he can bring anyone he wants. But for some reason or other, I didn't go with them until 2019. It was a great time, relaxing. The lake is beautiful, the mountains, the trees. There's not that much to do there, but it's good if you want just a quiet, sleepy vacation. The next time I went was in 2024, and that was great and still lovely and sleepy. I didn't stay the full week because I had to get back to NYC for the Lady Gaga concert. I tagged along this year as well, and I think I actually had the best time that I've ever had. First of all, I guess Lake George isn't as sleepy as I thought because we find different things to do every time I go there. This time we did mini golf. We bicycled on some old railway tracks. That was fun. We did a fishing cruise, which was not for me, and I'll probably opt out of that next time. But it was just great. It was just a good time all around. Of course, Ray's family, like him, are all very smart and very worldly and very funny. So we were just yucking it up all week. I found the week to be so educational because they are so smart and worldly. I learned everything from like what a buoy is for to what it means when somebody says you put three parts this, two parts this, one part. Wow. To gaining more, to gaining new perspectives on the conflict in the Middle East and transgender rights. It was just amazing. So many wrinkles were created in my brain. The only downside about the trip is that I was there with two toddlers who are cute as a button, as fun as can be, but it was just a lot for this single middle-aged black woman. Don't spend that much time with children. So by the end of the week, I was ready to go. I can't tell you how many times we watched the movie Matilda. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Matilda. And I too used to watch it like once a week when I was a child. But on this trip, we watched it no less than twice a day. So, as you can guess, I was pretty Matilda out. And then the kids started getting sick, and they just require so much love and attention. And I don't have that to give. So, next time I'll probably only stay for a couple of days. Another thing that made it rough was the fact that because Matilda was on the whole time, I couldn't watch any of my shows. I couldn't even figure out how to use the TV. And I asked Ray for help, and he said he wouldn't tell me because he didn't, quote, want me to have that much power. There was a day that they all left for go karts or something where I tried to figure out the TV on my own. And I was able to, like, you know, get the Roku thing off and change it to the home screen or whatever. But then I accidentally clicked a button that turned the whole thing off. And then I couldn't figure out how to turn it back on again. It was the wildest thing. The power button just like stopped working, but there was a flashing light in the corner. That was really frustrating. So, Ray's my bestie, and we've done several trips and road trips together. And we've often shared a room. So this time we were sharing a room. We each had our own bed. And, I prepared myself for the thing that happens every time sharing a room with Ray. Loud, loud snoring. Like most of us, I'm somebody who gets into bed and then I spend the next 30 minutes thinking about the worries of the world and my own personal problems. Ray, luckily, can lay his head down and then within the next 3 to 6 minutes, he's dead asleep, snoring. What I've learned to do is make sure that I try to fall asleep before him. Otherwise, I'm up all night listening to his snoring. There was one night where I had this funny dream. So I woke up laughing. So I got up to pee and I walk out and I see Ray on the couch. I'm like, did this mofo just leave because I disturbed him with my laughter? I was like, I have to deal with his snoring all the time. I should be the one sleeping on the couch. But it turns out he was just on the couch because the bed was uncomfortable. Like I said, Ray is my bestie and he'll do anything for me. But he did kind of do me dirty, not one, but 3 times on this trip. The first time happened the day I had a panel meeting to do, so I couldn't go out with everybody in the morning. It was supposed to be an all-day panel, but lucky for me, it ended at 1:30, so I was able to meet everybody for lunch at the boathouse at 2. So I text them to let them know I'm coming, and Ray sends me a picture of the menu so I can order ahead. I'm like, I'll take a Diet Coke and a burger. Thank you very much. So I get there and I sit down and I see my soda is already there waiting for me. Oh, I'm so parched. I can't wait to have the refreshing taste of Diet Coke in my mouth. I take a sip and I'm like, this isn't Diet Coke. And one of Ray's cousins in law looks at me and she's like, I know. He thought you wouldn't notice, but we told him that you would. Of course I'm going to notice. Everybody knows that Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi are totally different things. Diet Coke is its own special magical thing. Diet Pepsi tastes like acid. I was just really surprised that after all these years, he still didn't know that Diet Coke is my favorite. So there was that. And then there was the other time when he was going to the deli and he asked if anybody needed anything. And I was like, oh, I'll take some face wipes to remove my makeup at night. He comes back and out of the bag, he pulls some Huggies butt wipes. And I was like, what are these? He was like, for your face. I was like, no, these are for children's butts. It's not the same thing. So I was very disappointed by that as well. But in the end, he was right. The butt wipes did work just as well as the face wipes. So hot tip to you guys. Now, the last time that he did me dirty is when we left for the fishing trip. Part of the reason I didn't enjoy it so much is because I was wearing like a spaghetti strapped jumpsuit and it was freezing cold every time we were speeding across the lake. There was lots of wind. And then I remember it was a 3-hour tour. So it was just a lot. But I was like, oh, I wish I brought a jacket. And Ray was like, you know what? I looked at my jacket on the bed and I thought about bringing it. But then I said, nah. Oh my God. Now, let me tell you about the worst part of the trip. Not just the worst part of the trip, but probably the worst dining experience I've ever had. So our very last night before leaving, we wanted to have one more last special dinner. So somebody suggested this Italian place. We were all coming from different places. Some people were coming from the amusement park. Me and a couple other people were coming back from the outlet, which I really shouldn't have been at. But we make a 7:30 reservation and we agree we'll all meet at the restaurant at 7:30. So my crew, we pull up at like 7:32, maybe, let's say. We get upstairs, we sit down. The amusement park crew is already there. It's kind of quiet. They seem a little subdued. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I need to use the bathroom, and the hostess told me that there's a bathroom on the upper level, which is where we were. So I'm looking around, and I can see a couple doors to the back. One says employees only, and the other says caution. I'm like, where is the bathroom? So I asked him, guys, like, where are the restrooms? He's like, right there. And he points to where the caution sign is. I was like, how are people supposed to know? And then as I get closer, I see that the tiny restroom sign, which is much smaller than the caution sign, has fallen off the door and is being like propped up, like way down low someplace, not even at eye level. That should have been my first clue that this place wasn't up to snuff. So I come back to the table. The mood is still kind of subdued. And Ray or somebody says, nobody's come to see us. We've been here for quite a while, and the only thing we've gotten is water. And I was like, oh, that's strange. So that happens for maybe another 10 to 15 minutes. And finally, it's getting to be a bit too much. So some bus girl or somebody walks by and I'm like, hi, excuse me, can you just find our waiter, please? And she's like, sure, sure. Then she goes downstairs. Let's say another 15, 20 minutes go by, and we try to flag somebody else down to find our waiter. And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, we'll go find them. Yeah, right on it. Our waitress does not show up until approximately 8:10 p.m. This woman, this very nice woman, Denise, was extremely apologetic when she got there. She said that nobody had told her that she had a table upstairs. She was like, I'm one of the best waitresses here, so I'm going to take really good care of you for the rest of the night. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. We're like, great. Thanks, Denise. We're just glad you're here. We understand it wasn't your fault. It's fine. So we put an order in for a couple of apps. People have some side salads coming with their entrees. I think we ordered everything at once because we were just like, over it. We asked for the kids' meal to be brought out first, so these poor children didn't starve. I think they ordered very basic spaghetti with buttered noodles and maybe a splash of Parmesan on it. But why did the apps not show up until like 8:30? I will say the apps were delicious. It's probably the best fried mozzarella I've ever had. That's the one thing they got going for them. So all the adult salads come out. And then the kids' food, which we asked to come out first, comes out like maybe another 10 minutes after that. So we're feeling a little better. We're less hangry. We've gotten at least something in us. So we're sassified, but still definitely ready for our main courses. But then another 15 to 20 minutes goes by and we haven't gotten our main courses. Ray's sister, like the rest of us, has had it, but she's the only one brave enough to ask for the manager. So she asked somebody walking by to ask the manager to come up to see us. Another like 10 minutes goes by. And then who comes up to our table? Not the manager, but Denise. And she's like, I heard you guys wanted to see a manager. Was there some kind of problem? Am I not doing a good job? Well, how can I help you guys? And we're all just stunned. Stunned. I've never experienced a case where I asked to speak to the manager and the person I was dealing with or whoever comes back and tries to talk me out of talking to the manager. So remain firm and ask to please let us speak to the manager after Denise gives us a whole bunch of excuses that are basically worthless. So maybe another 5 to 10 minutes after that, the manager comes up and is like, yeah, you guys meant to talk to me? Sorry, I was behind the bar. I was like, okay, the manager's behind the bar. That might be part of the problem. She's like, you're so backed up. I'm sorry. The kitchen's trying the best they can. The hostess is new, so, she's still learning. In my head, I'm like, what the hell does the hostess being new have to do with us not getting our food for over an hour? Like, the hostess did her part. She sat us. We're good. The rest of the problem is with you, Denise, or the kitchen. I don't know. Anyway, she leaves, like, see what she can do. I think she mentioned free desserts. Fine. So finally, at around 9:15, that's right, 9:15, after more than an hour and a half of waiting, our entrees finally arrive. The entrees like huge portions of food, which we could have enjoyed at our leisure had it come at 7:45 like we wanted. But at this point, we're all so fed up. We take like 2 bites for our food and we're like, give us boxes, get us out of here. We asked for the bill. That takes a long time too for some reason. Denise came and cleared the plates after we'd asked her for the bill right away, but she didn't bring the bill. So Ray's sister had to go down and get the bill and pay it the cash wrap or whatever. It was all so crazy. And guess what the manager did for us? She took 10% off our bill. Oh, how generous, how kind. No, for everything that we endured, our meal should have been free. It's ridiculous. Okay, I won't name and shame them because you know I don't like to do that. I'll just say it's an Italian restaurant in Lake George that starts with an S and ends with an I. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled program, everybody's favorite segment, Moments with Mommy. So this time, Mommy mentioned that she might want to go to her half brother's funeral in Ghana, even though she can't afford it. I was like, you can just send flowers or something. I'm sure it'll be fine. She's like, well, they might do something for the anniversary of our dad's death too. I was like, okay, well, if that happens as well, then you should go. But if it doesn't, you really don't need to go. So we decided on that, I thought, until one Thursday when she calls me and she's like, I need help getting a visa to go to Ghana. I was like, oh, you decided to go? Fine. What day are you leaving? She says, Wednesday. And I told her that it usually takes about 30 days to get a visa approved. And I'm pretty sure the office is closed on Fridays. So I don't think they'll be able to start processing until Monday. So I don't think this is going to work out for you. She was like, just try. I'm like, okay. So we start doing the application online and it asks for your itinerary and ticket number. So I ask her, what's your itinerary and ticket number? She's like, I don't have it yet. And I say, excuse me, what? She's like, yeah, I haven't bought the ticket yet. What do they need my ticket number for? I'm just flabbergasted. So she's like, don't worry about it. I have an in at the embassy. It'll definitely get approved. So I think I just put in some fake digits for her ticket number and sent it off with a kiss and a prayer. And wouldn't you know it, because she is mommy, she bought her ticket on Monday. Visa got approved on Tuesday, and she took to the air on Wednesday. She is really one lucky lady. So she's only going for about 2 weeks, which is like the shortest trip she's ever taken to Ghana. And I've been WhatsApping with her while she's been there. It's almost time for her to return. I'm like, what time is your flight? And she's like, 7 a.m. Can you believe it? Me on a 7 a.m. flight. I was like, what are you going to do? You know, mommy's track record of being on time for things. She was like, I think I'm just going to stay up overnight and then go to the airport at like 4. And I say, you probably should go to the airport at 9 p.m. the night before and just sleep there overnight. And she's like, no, it'll be fine. Thankfully, it turned out her flight was actually at 11 a.m., which is still too early for mommy. But I think she made it. She's supposed to be coming back today. I haven't heard from her all day, so I'm assuming everything's fine. No panicked phone calls. So hopefully she'll be calling soon to say she landed safely at Dallas Airport. Okay, now we're going to do some Lil's lights camera action. Or maybe it should be called lounging with Lil, because these are things I watch on TV when I'm laying around just vegging out. For some reason, or maybe because of the proliferation of true crime documentaries that have been coming out in recent years, that's become my new favorite genre to watch, especially on vacation for some reason. I did it in Italy, I did it at Lake George, but every once in a while I just pop on Netflix and see what's new. They're always pushing out the content. So if you're into true crime documentaries, let me tell you about the ones that I watched recently that you definitely need to check out. First one is called Capturing the Killer Nurse, which is about this serial killer, Charles Cullen, who was a nurse at several different hospitals and killed a lot of his patients. He's one of the top serial killers of all time, and just demented. It was really fascinating to watch, especially because we never got any clarity on the why he did what he did. Around the same time that Netflix released the documentary, there was also a feature film version of the story made called The Good Nurse. I'd always seen it popping up on my Netflix because it came out in 2022, but I always just never wanted to watch it for some reason. But then when I watched the documentary, I was like, okay, great. Now I have to see the feature film version, which is what I like to do in general. I like to watch the documentary and then I watch the feature film version. That's what I did for OJ Made in America, and then the Ryan Murphy American Crime Story series that was called The People versus O.J. Simpson. That was really good. Unfortunately, The Good Nurse is not as good. Eddie Redmayne plays Cullen, and he kind of plays it in like a regular, kind of creepy serial killer way. And I don't know if it was the writing or his performance, but it wasn't really inspired. And still left us dangling about the why. I wish they would have used a little more artistic license to give us at least some kind of backstory or theory into the why. Jessica Chastain is in it as well, and she's excellent. So yeah, check out Capturing the Killer Nurse, and then if you want to, watch The Good Nurse after. The next one I watched is Toxic Love Story, which, let me tell you, it's another case. And I think this is why I like the true crime documentaries. This was a case of truth is stranger than fiction. This documentary took so many wild twists and turns. It was crazy. Like, you think you know what's happening or what's going to happen, you think you figured it out, and then something else happens to make you question that. And it's all just very unimaginable and crazy. Definitely check it out. I also watched Escaping Twin Flames, which is a documentary about some people trying to escape this cult where the leaders claim they'll help you find your soulmate, what they call twin flame. Pretty interesting. The cult ones are always a little bit the same because the same thing happens in every cult, basically. And then there's a couple series I watched. My Lover, My Killer, which is a British docu-series about people who get tangled up in toxic relationships and then they end up dead. This one was somewhat interesting. The most revealing thing I took away was that the British people seriously do take the stiff upper lip thing seriously. I've never seen people talk about the murder of their child or friend and just do it so matter of factly, so clearly, just talking about it with little to no emotion and not crying or weeping. I mean, there's some people that some of the moms shed a couple tears, but it was just strange to me that they didn't break down. Maybe they've talked about this so much, they've come to live with it, but I just couldn't believe it. Definitely a big difference between and the Americans. And then finally, if you haven't seen it, I think this is from the Dufour brothers. They've given us a couple of docu-series called Worst Blank Blank. We have Worst Ex Ever, Worst Roommate Ever, and Worst Neighbor Ever, which is the one I watched most recently. Once again, just wild tales of murder and mayhem and people so crazy you didn't even know they existed. Watch the whole series. It's excellent. Now, switching to the cinema, I saw two movies recently that you should watch when they become available on streaming. I, like apparently thousands of other people across the world, considering it's more than $400 billion or whatever dollars that it's made, saw Spider-Man Brand New Day. And it was really good. Typical superhero movie, nothing particularly innovative or inspiring, just really followed the same formula, wasn't as well made as, say, Avengers movie or Black Panther, which really took Marvel movies to another level due to its extraordinary director, Ryan Coogler. I feel like a lot of the success of the Spider Man movie is because we actually haven't had a Marvel movie come out in a while. It used to be there was one coming out like every 3 months. So we kind of just got over the whole thing. I think people are just excited to have this the franchise back. It's kind of like, when Beyonce comes out with a new album and it's amazing and you're loving it and you listen to it every day for the next 3 months. And then by the end of that 3 months, you get kind of tired of it, tired of seeing all her interviews and music videos and whatever. And then she picks that time to just retreat back to her castle. And then, so that takes like another 6 months or so. And then you start to miss her again. And then she comes right back at that moment and gives you more amazingness. She has the game down. So that's what I feel like this Spider-Man movie is like. I give it a Lil's letter grade of a B. I also saw something that's come back after a long time, which is the spoof genre of comedies. We did have a remake of The Naked Gun come out last year, which everybody loved. I didn't love it as much, but it's a good watch if you want to laugh. But this spoof I liked much better because it took me back to my younger days when I really love spoofs and I watched them over and over again. Movies like Airplane, Spaceballs. This movie was Stop That Train, starring and produced by everybody's favorite drag queen, RuPaul. It was super hilarious, had all the running gags that kept making you laugh, that kept escalating. You could tell that everybody working on it was just having a good time. The plot is so ridiculous that somehow it makes sense. Definitely check it out when it's streaming. I give it a Lil's letter grade of a B plus. Okay, breaking news. Breaking news. This just in. Mommy has returned safely to America. She called, but I was on the other line. So she left a message saying, "Okay, I'm just calling to report that I'm back. Thank you for everything. I'm back. I hope you're doing fine. I'm sure you have a meeting or something. Okay, that's good. Continue your meeting. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I pray that everything goes well for you today." Oh, Mommy, when she's sweet, she's sweet. So I called her back and I asked her how everything went. She was like, "Yeah, it was great after I learned that my flight was 11 a.m. and not 7 a.m. I was like, "Okay, so what time did you get to the airport?" And she's like, "I left around 9:10, which is definitely after the 2 to 3 hour mark of when you're supposed to be at the airport for an international flight." But praise God, she made it. Moments with Mommy. Now, moving on to Lil's love life. I left you all hanging with a cliffhanger with what was going on with me and Theo. I was almost ready to call the whole thing off, but with the help of my friends who gave me really good advice, especially the ones that have been in relationships, I was able to recalibrate, see a different perspective on things, ask for what I actually wanted and needed, and lo and behold, it worked. Last night we were celebrating his birthday, and I think it was one of the best nights we've ever had. It was just so fun, and I feel more secure about the relationship now. I feel more confident and happy to move forward. More to come, and I'll see you guys next time, or you'll hear me next time.